I played Falstad to level 25. Here's what I learned. If you ask me, there's two types of HOTS players. There's your brawly teamfight all game, I should be playing ARAM meatheads, and your HOTS is a solo player game, I'm never leaving this lane, gankable XP sponge, and while you need a little bit of both to be successful in Heroes games, not every hero is capable of switching between these playstyles. But Falstad is. With his speed, damage, and near global presence, Falstad's kit can plug holes often seen in low-level games, getting to where he's needed quickly. His ability to fly lets him sit in a lane up to the last minute and soak one more wave before the fight starts, then zip on over to die with his team. This means, generally, Falstad's team has an XP advantage. Bonus points if an opponent stays in lane to counter Falstad's soak, which frees him up to swoop in and turn the 4v4 into a 5v4. Looking a little foolish now, aren't we? And his Q stacks hard, reducing enemy spell armor and adding a 50% slow in later levels. What? What do you mean Q-Quest isn't baseline? Falstad doesn't have any other builds. Nah. Falstad can talent into each of his damage types. Q talents for a more mage-like build, auto attacks for high sustained damage, or W build for also sustained damage. Look, I'm telling you, if you're new, start with Q build. This hero is made of paper. Throwing the hammer is both the safest and easiest way to get damage on your enemies. His attack build and lightning build plays similarly, both made to do great single target sustained damage. On paper, the auto attacks are for heavier heroes and W is for squishies. Problem is, these talents take a while to get going, while Q-Quest talents are strong for the whole match. Sure, it's possible to get to level 13 for percent damage, or patiently stack that lightning rod for half the game, or bully a tank from jump, gaining up to 3 quest stacks from a properly thrown hammer, increasing your damage and returning mana. It's not that the other builds won't work, it's just that this hammer really does turn every problem into a nail. To be fair, the W build is pretty great at dueling and pressuring squishies out of a fight. Lightning Rod is an instant cast, single target damage dealing ability that repeatedly strikes an enemy within range with lightning every second for 4 seconds. This spell, plus your auto attacks, are great at applying pressure to a priority target, and while it does good damage, it costs quite a bit of mana and you might not get full value from the spell. Stop running away. Plus, the quest scales about as fast as it takes for hammer players to get through grade school. Watch, just look how long it takes to get 1 stack on the quest. That's 4 whole seconds. And, ideally, you get 2 stacks of the quest for every 1 cast of the spell, not even considering that you'll be moving around dodging stuff and your enemies will be trying to break the leash, if they even bother running. Even with the accompanying shield talent, Falstad does not have enough health to sit around and trade damage with other assassins. A little stun here, a little burst there, and Falstad is going straight into the KFC bargain bucket. It's the same story with his auto attack build. Slow scaling, small health pool, and only really coming online late game means you're trading a lot of early and mid game power for a better chance to pop a tank late game. By then you should know if the front line is really the problem, and besides, a stacked Q can bust tanks just fine. Falstad's Q is a skill shot with decent range that can be reactivated to deal damage in an area around its projectile. The best part about this ability is when you throw it, it comes back, potentially hitting enemies twice, and slowing anyone it touches. What I want to do is direct your attention to a specific talent. No, not that one. Not that one. This one, right here, level 7. Look at this. Read this carefully. Minus 15 spell armor. Minus 15 spell armor. Minus 15 spell armor. Do you know how crazy this is? This makes all purple damage do 15% more damage. This pairs incredibly well with most heroes of the game, but especially with allied mages. I don't know if you have eyes, but boy, there's a lot of mage players in this game. Seriously, being able to slow the enemy heroes on top of reducing their spell armor makes it so much easier for your friends to hit their skill shots. Now, because Falstad's so squishy, he's coupled with one of the best movement abilities in the game. Barrel Roll lets Falstad do a quick dash in any direction and puts a shield over top of his health bar. Great for getting out of a bad spot, especially since it can go over walls and terrain. You can also use it aggressively. I know I've been saying that Falstad is a squishy lad, but he can make aggressive plays on 2 conditions. He has more health than the enemy, and they're running. A quick dash towards a fleeing enemy lets you QW auto attack to finish people off. Just be aware of its cooldown. Falstad gets punished hard without his safety dash. And now for Falstad's defining ability. Instead of mounting, Falstad can fly to just about anywhere on the map. Flight is a long-range, not global, fast travel ability that opens up tons of ways to make plays. Mastering this ability is key in getting the most from this hero. The ability to pick a spot on the map and be there is not to be underestimated. Just be aware that flying does not remove Falstad from the map. This has Silly implications. You can still trigger Abathur mines while flying, and abilities that track you or your position, like charges, Illidan's Hunt, or Zeratul Vorpal Blade, can follow you to your destination. Or, most unfortunately, an errant spell can swat you out of the air like Birdshot. Now, in ranked games, Falstad's ult choice can be quite contentious. I say they're both good, but which one you pick depends on the hero matchups and the types of fights you're seeing in-game. Hinterland's Blast is a long-range big ol' zappy blast that does big damage. It has a 1-second wind-up, so this spell is best used when it's least expected, like catching a fleeing hero. The best part of this spell is its cooldown reduction. Hinterland's Blast has a 2-minute cooldown that's reduced by 30 seconds for each enemy hero hit. That means, do it with me, hitting this many heroes will reset the cooldown. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, oh yeah. Hallways are your friend. Falstad's other ultimate, Mighty Gust, is an incredibly powerful ability with massive fuck-up potential. Using this spell creates a huge gust of wind that blows enemies away and slows them by 40%, decaying over 4 seconds. While it's not as flashy as Hinterland's Blast, it can be just as deadly. You can dash behind an enemy and gust them into your team, or split up a team fight to isolate a priority target. You can use it defensively to get people away from you, or disrupt an enemy team's engagement. But like all forced movement, it's very easy to ruin your team's plans, saving the enemies from skill shots or gusting the bad guys onto your friends. In bird culture, this is known as a dick move. If there's no reason to gust, there's no reason to gust. You don't have to use an ability just because it's off cooldown. Falstad is a fantastic choice for new and old players alike. While he's not the strongest solo laner, his abilities let him safely split push, and his presence forces the enemy team to fight early or fight at a disadvantage. Despite his small health pool, he remains strong throughout the match, doing big damage and supporting his team with high-impact playmaking abilities. If you're sick of falling behind in experience, but still want to be able to contribute to teamfights, Falstad is the hero for you.